Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. Here I have a beat up looking Matchbox Kennel truck. And in this video I'm going to see if I can give it a makeover and turn it into a cool looking old Ford pickup. So we'll take it off the turntable and have a closer look at it. Of course it's missing the dogs off the back, and there was a clear cover that you could take on and off. This one's missing the grille there. It's got the metal base on it. Super fast style wheels. It's got that ugly green windscreen. So we'll take it apart. There's two posts at the rear there and a tab at the front that's hidden behind the grille. Well, it would be if the grille wasn't missing. They had a plastic grille. Right, so with those drilled out, I can pop the base off and take it all apart. It's got the plastic suspension there. The windscreen's been held in with a tab, so I'll just drill that out. Trying to make sure I don't drill through the roof of the cab. Okay, now I can pop the windscreen out. So I'll just wipe my bench here. Okay, there's the body and the windscreen, and I'm going to pop these old wheels and axles out of here as well, because I'm going to be replacing them. And when you do this, make sure that you don't break the little tabs that are holding the axle in. Okay, there we go. So that's our little kennel truck all disassembled. Now I'm going to strip that ugly worn out old green paint off of the body casting. It's a bit lighter colour on the top there. I don't know if that's faded from the sun or whether it was just a lighter coat of paint on top. Right, so here's the casting after we've washed all the old paint off. It's quite a nice detailed casting and there's not really any glaring flaws on it. Give it a clean up with a wire brush on my Dremel and get rid of all that oxidation and other crud that's on it. And here it is after a clean up. So I had been considering cutting the rear out and making a whole new deck for it, but then I sort of thought about the fact that those posts are in the rear there and that was holding it all together, so it would have been quite a bit of work to chop that out. So I went into my 3D app and I've designed a camper top for it. Then printed that on my 3D printer, and this can sit over the top of all of that stuff and the deck there. If you go to thingiverse.com and search Lesney, you'll find this grill for the kennel truck. So I've printed myself out one of them. It's going to fit on there like that. And as it didn't have an interior, I've also printed a new interior for it. You can find this on Thingiverse as well. I think if you search pickup interior maybe. Something along those lines. And I've also printed myself out some wheels for it. So I thought I'd be clever and make them a millimetre larger than the original wheels. So if you look at the rear of them, they've got quite a large hole there. So I don't want big fat axles like that. So to make the hole smaller, I've got a couple of different sizes of brass tube, and I can use that to line the hole, make it a bit smaller. So just a drop of thin super glue in there. Then I can put my little pieces of tube in. Right, there we go, and now I'll be able to fit the axles in there nice and snug. And then after all of that, I test fitted them, and they were a little bit too large, of course, because I'd made them a millimetre larger, so I had to print some new ones a millimetre smaller, the same size as the original wheels. Right, so here's the base. I want to keep that plastic suspension, but I don't want the paint stripper to melt it. But I want to get rid of that ugly cream paint. So I just use some masking tape there to mask off the suspension. And then I could use the paint stripper, and now onto the wire brush on my Dremel. Now that's nice and clean of paint as well. Now onto that ugly green windscreen. I'm not going to be reusing that. So I'm going to put a bit of masking tape over the front windscreen there. And I can use a pencil just to trace around that and get the shape of the windscreen. There we go. Now I can peel that off, and I'm just going to stick that onto some clear plastic. And then I can use my craft knife to cut that out. And it'll fit in there nicely as a new windscreen. I'll just leave the masking tape on there to protect it for now. Next, I drilled and tapped the rear posts on the body of the truck. Now we'll go back to that windscreen, and I've cut the rear off of it, and I'm just going to glue that into the open rear of the truck there for a back wall. Now I can start some painting. I'll start out with the body of the truck. I gave it a couple of coats of white primer, and I hit the sides with a nice light creamy tan. Next, I masked off the bottom half of the truck. Then I hit the top with a nice red. That's starting to look heaps better already. Much nicer than that horrible green. Next, I took some silver paint and I've detailed the door handles and the trimmings there, apart from the stripes on the side. And for that, I've spray painted some clear decal paper silver, and I can cut out some thin strips, and I can apply those onto the trimmings along the side of my truck. So it's quite tricky to get it lined up perfectly on camera, so I'll just finish that off camera. And here's how it's looking with all the trimming on. And to finish it off, I printed out some little license plates here, just on normal A4 paper. There's some for the front as well, they're a little bit smaller. And it does have a surface relief license plate, but I don't think I'm going to be able to paint that as detailed as this one that I'm sticking on there. And I'm using PVA glue to stick that on. This was all finished with gloss clear. Here's the grille, I painted that silver, detailed the indicators there, and put the license plate on. Here's the interior, detailed that in a tan. Here I've glued that new windscreen in using some crystal clear. And then I've glued on the new grille there. I gave the wheels a base coat of black. Then I detailed the rims in silver and gave it a satin clear coat. I gave the base a fresh coat of silver, and then you can see I've put the wheels in there. Next I'll just push the interior into the cab. It's quite a snug fit, so I don't think I'll have to use any glue. And now I can put the base on. Just fit that little tab in at the front. There we go, and then I've got a couple of button head screws. They're not very deep posts, so I had to cut the screws a bit shorter. And there we go. I can hold that all together. While I'd been doing all that, I changed my mind about the cover for the back, and I designed a new one that doesn't go over the cab. So I've printed a couple of those out and cleaned one up. And for this, I gave it a nice base coat of white. Then I'm going to mask off a big stripe all around the middle of it and hit that with the same tan as the sides of the truck. So just removing the masking here. Hopefully it's come out tidy enough. There we go. I'll just get it in frame. It's looking pretty good. So for the windows there, I've printed out some glass texture panels on some A4 paper, and then I glued those onto some clear plastic. And then I can cut them out and glue them inside the windows. You can see I put the Ford logo on the rear window. So now it's got nice glassy windows, but you can't see all that junk in the rear deck. Okay, so that's all pretty much done. But just before we take a look at the finished item, let's take a quick look back at what we started with. Here it is, our scruffy looking little Kennel truck, all the way from the 60s. It's missing a few bits, the grille, the rear cover, but I think under there is a pretty cool old Ford pickup. So let's see what we can do. And here is our little Matchbox Kennel truck now. It's been stripped down and tidied up and put back together as a nice old classic Ford F100 pickup. So it's got new wheels and interior, nice proper clear windscreen now, the new grille there, and that camper cover on the back of it. And best of all, it's got a much nicer looking paint job, red and tan, rather than that awful green that it was before. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Before I go, I'll give a quick shout out to my Patreons. Thanks heaps for the continued support. Thanks heaps to you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe for more similar content. Check out the links below, and I'll catch you in the next one.